Thank you for joining us today. Josh Packer and Liam Howlett. We're here to talk about the Jumeirah Golf Estates 2 community, specifically the Golf Course North Villa launch that's coming up. Liam and I are both experienced within the off-plan villa and townhouse market. Obviously, it's a very core area of the market right now as there is a shortage. Liam and I previously focused on short form content, but we feel this project deserves a good 10-15 minute conversation because there's so much to it, and it probably is the best opportunity we've seen in the last 12 months. Liam, do you want to give a bit of an insight into what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's shaping up to probably be the best community launch that we've seen. So I think today, maybe just for everybody, if they've not seen a bit of what's going on in the market, maybe if we could talk a little bit, just a bit of a brief market overview. JGE1, what's gone on there over the last few years. Some people have done very well in terms of the capital appreciation, what that community looks like. And most importantly, of course, Jumeirah Golf Estates 2. Some of the amenities and the level of service that's going in there, I think deserves its own discussion. And then for everybody else that's here, the bit that matters, the investment piece.
Exactly that.
Because it's a very, very strong opportunity from an investment point of view.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you mentioned Jumeirah Golf Estates 1 because it's possibly the first time that a community has launched where you have data-backed info for a new community. It's literally side by side. You can see what the current values are within Jumeirah Golf Estates 1. You can see this unbelievable sort of production that they're bringing to Jumeirah Golf Estates 2. And even more so, I think the connectivity, everything that we'll go into, it just is shaping up.
Certainly de-risks it, right? Because you've got that comparable that you can work from.
Absolutely, and especially as we see the map move further west with Al Maktoum, Palm Jebel Ali, this almost becomes the centre of Dubai with, I guess, Blue Waters Marina directly above it, the Palm, and downtown is obviously off to the east.
So do you want to talk about that a little bit then, maybe the general market overview, what you think's been going on over the last maybe 10, 15 years?
Absolutely. I think in previous content I've talked about how Dubai has matured and different stages that we've seen. So of course in the early 2000s we saw the initial handover of apartments in downtown and apartments in the marina, and we obviously saw that those communities flourish. And then I guess late 2000s is where we started to see big villa communities coming into the market. Would you say, I mean, historically you've got Al Kawanish, older communities and GCC areas, but I feel like the first real expat communities would be the likes of Jumeirah Islands, I think handed over in about 2006, Emirates Living, the Palm, of course, late 2000s started to become a globally recognized community. And obviously we know what the value of those properties are today. I guess moving then sort of into the 2010s, you see the likes of Dubai Hills, Arabian Ranches. When these places were announced, people would say, Jesus, that's far away. No one's going to live there. But
How are they performing now?
Exactly. I think people would argue that Dubai Hills is probably the most sought after place to live in Dubai due to its location, due to its offerings in terms of the Mall, the golf course. Of course, one other thing that I would say is multiple or most of these communities have sort of one draw. They've either got a golf course, they've got equestrian, so polo, they've got a big water body, so a lagoon or lake, which is what sort of is the makeup of the community. I think.
Do you think that limits buyers at all, having a certain theme in the community? Do you think that puts some people off?
I mean, it doesn't. I think it is an attraction. Of course, we know what waterfront property is like. So if you are, for example, the Palm, perfect example. The Palm, obviously people want to live there because it's by the sea. So Jumeirah Islands, I think, was the first, other than maybe the marina and I guess the Marassi Bay in downtown. Jumeirah Islands was sort of the first man-made water body that we've seen within a community that everyone sort of was shocked. I mean, Jumeirah Islands, it sounds like it's out in the middle of the sea, but that is the attraction. That's what brings people in. So I think when we go on to talk about the offerings of JGE2, the attraction is absolutely there in terms of doorstep living. So everything on your doorstep. I mean, if we go into talk just a little bit about the population growth and what that means for villas and townhouses and sort of families, do you want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, maybe start with Jumeirah Golf Estates itself. I mean, I've obviously lived there, and then there's just some sort of exclusivity about it. There's just something that just feels different about being in a community. And I think coming from the UK as well, you've probably never experienced that. I'd certainly never experienced it. And I think when you might work in the city, you might work somewhere nearby, but when you go home and you almost go through like this gated entrance of your community, that you're somewhat secluded from everything else, and you've got everything you could possibly want in there. I mean, your kids can play around, they can do whatever they want, you know that you feel safe.
Absolutely.
You've got, I mean, in Jumeirah Golf Estates 1, obviously you've got the clubhouse, you've got the Tommy Fleetwood Academy, you've got the tennis courts, gym, spa, spinnies, like it's quite a big one. Spinnies, it sounds a small one, but everyone loves the spinnies. It's unbelievable.
For people in the UK, spinnies is sort of the equivalent of Waitrose. But yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you obviously lived in JG1, so it's a perfect example of what offering it gives in terms of lifestyle and safety. And I think there's nothing better. I mean, I lived in Sports City, which is only next door. I regularly used to come and meet you at the country club. Obviously, it is everything you would expect a country club to be, with the spa, the pool. So we would obviously regularly sit down, and even just to go and work in the restaurant, we would do many a morning just sat in the restaurant, networking and obviously getting some work done.
Where it all began. So I had to actually text my wife one time and say, we're going to the country club. Like, the idea of saying I'm going to a country club is not a normal thing. We ended up just calling it the clubhouse in the end, because it just felt different. But yeah, there's a certain level of exclusivity about it, and it's certainly a very affluent area. And I think even just from a networking point of view, the opportunities are endless there. They really are. And to be honest, when I heard about Jumeirah Golf Estates 2, I think like most, it was like, will it ever be what Jumeirah Golf Estates 1 is?
Because it has that reputation. You never know who you're going to be sat next to in the clubhouse, for example. Of course, if we go on to talk just a bit about the golf course and the golf club, of course, they're home to the DP World Championship, which is last year won the sporting event of the year for the UAE.
So what have you seen so far from JGE that separates it from any other community? Why is it better? What I mean is, if they got come in, what services are going in there? What else is going in there that maybe another community doesn't have?
I mean, if I was going to go in to talk about JGE2, the first thing I would talk about is the location. Of course, Jumeirah Golf Estates 1 is a fantastic location. This is right next to it. And obviously I alluded to a bit earlier about it becoming the centre of Dubai. You're right on the E311 motorway, which goes all the way from currently DXB Airport, downtown, right through to Expo City, onto Al Maktoum Airport, and then all the way down to Abu Dhabi, which is unbelievable. You've then got the D59 motorway, which comes down from Blue Waters, Marina, Palm, you could argue, and that road is actually going to have a bridge over the top straight into Jumeirah Golf Estates 2. Now, Jumeirah Golf Estates 2 is going to be split up into 6 different districts. So you're going to have everything from a polo district, a golf course district, a central park district, which will be inclusive of cycle tracks, obviously walking, parks, open greenery. 1.5 million square meters of greenery and open space, which is insane. You're then going to have the business district. I don't know if I mentioned the equestrian district.
But you got tennis in there, going in there as well?
Exactly. Within the sports district, they're going to have a 5,000 seater tennis stadium, which the current tennis stadium is next to the IFC. So that's obviously moving up there as well. And obviously it's all going to be top of the range. But I think what you will have is you're going to be homing 12,500 residents. So other than the golf course villas, you are going to have a wider community that live. I mean, you're going to have medical centres, hospitals. You're going to have a globally recognised international school. I would say it on the podcast, but I don't know if it's common knowledge, so I'm going to keep it to myself. You will then have multiple nurseries.
Rail services, talk to me about that. What have you got in there?
I think this is the other key. So I mentioned the motorways that it's connected to. You're going to have Etihad high-speed rail, which is obviously new to the UAE. I think the first high-speed rail is going to be operational from 2026, but they're going to have an Etihad rail station within JGE2, which will of course connect to Al Maktoum Airport and to Abu Dhabi, and obviously the rest of the UAE, which is obviously insane. And then you will also have your own metro station. Now, tell me another villa community that has this sort of connectivity.
So what we're saying is, we've had previously people focus on specifically an equestrian, specifically a golf community, and in this community we're tying up all of that in one area. Do you think it'd be too crowded? Is there enough space? Are people going to feel like everything's on top of them, or can you just step away and go to where you want to go, away from it if you don't want to be?
Absolutely not. I think we'll pull up on the screen an overhead shot of the complex, but it's 4.5 million
huge, right?
square meters, which I can't even imagine that in my head. But I think, it ticks every box. And the one thing that I say is doorstep living. You literally don't need to leave that community.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's so much to explore in Dubai, but you could live and breathe in that community.
Yeah.
There's also going to be the commercial centre. So there'll be businesses, functioning office space in there as well. There's branded residence of Mandarin Oriental announced. So that will be residence and hotel. So a globally recognised branded residence.
Yeah. Okay, so that's for the lifestyle, that's for living there, you know you're happy there.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the investment opportunity? Shall I go
Absolutely.
for a little bit of that? I think
go
that's where it
into,
stands out.
Yeah.
So for anybody that's not familiar with the process, typically how does it work? So you're going to have to put an EOI in, which is effectively your deposit, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what we saw first of all was the townhouses. And we saw these, in fact, they were townhomes. And I think this was the difference. And this is when you started to see, okay, they're doing something different here. They're separating themselves. And we all saw it. Why are you calling them townhomes? They're just townhouses, right?
I mean, they were considerably bigger, which is what confused us in terms of this.
Yeah, you're right. And then when we saw that launch, and you've got townhomes coming in, you've got 3 beds at 3,500 square foot.
Exactly.
4 beds, 4,200 square foot.
Yeah.
And then you had the 5 beds, the 4-bed corner units, 4,700 square foot. Agreed, yeah.
So to see townhomes coming in quite a small area of the map at the square footage, the price point was very good.
I think that's where they really set the scene. And I think at that time as well, the feedback was still a little bit unsure what they're doing here because, where do they fit in the market?
Yeah.
Nobody else is kind of doing that. And then when that second launch arrives, which we're just going into now, it's open for EOIs, and you see these North villas, you're like, okay, this is starting to make sense now. This is actually shaping up to probably be one of the, if not the best community in Dubai.
I mean, exactly that, as well as the community. I think I had multiple investors saying, I'm going to wait for the golf course view villas, which I know you'll go on to talk about which ones are facing the golf course. But I think buying something on the golf course is the best opportunity, unless it's golf course or seafront, the best opportunity to see capital appreciation.
Great, yeah. And we like you say, you're seeing that. So the 4 beds that are coming out now, so they're 6,500 square foot for a 4 bed. Okay, that's what a 5 bed looks like in current JGE at the moment.
Yeah, that's insane. It's absolutely huge.
You've got 5 beds, 8,000, and then you work your way up to the 6 beds at 10,000 square foot.
10,000.
And the reason that's important, the reason that square foot's important, I think, is because at EOI stage, you're never going to get exact confirmation on what prices look like. But this is where any investor should be jumping on this immediately, because you've got a 250,000 EOI, and if you look at the numbers that they're expected to come out, and we've had a lot of conversations with people about this internally, and the expectation that's being released is it's going to be anywhere between 1,900 to 2,400 dirhams a square foot.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at something currently in JGE. If you look at a 5 bed, and this is a mid-range 5 bed, by the way, not something that's done up.
Yeah, not top of the range.
Not top of the range at all. Starts at around 4,000 dirhams a square foot. A done up unit is 5,500. 5,500 dirhams a square foot. So you picture that, right? You put your EI in. If it doesn't come out anywhere near that price, it's fully refundable. You know where you sit. But you put your EI in and you secure them units at 2,500, say top end, 2,500 dirhams a square foot.
Yeah.
And existing units are at 4,000 plus in JGE.
So you're looking at today's prices. You're looking at almost a 35% discount on the launch price of these units.
And that's before any capital appreciation. Bearing in mind the typical investor play is you buying it today 10-15% cheaper than you're hoping for, by the way, because not every launch is that much cheaper anymore.
Exactly that.
Then you're gonna wait 4 years for your capital appreciation. If you're going in that low now, and that's today's prices, that's before you consider the capital appreciation.
Yeah.
To put that into perspective, on a 5 bed unit, so what? Say I only appreciated 1,000 dirhams. You're looking at 8 million dirhams in profit.
Yeah,
it's like $1.5 million GBP.
And that's before the compounding appreciation.
Before that, and that's taking the lowest level of appreciation.
And we've seen obviously at a generous figure, we've seen appreciation at 15% a year for the last 5-6 years. So it's potentially looking at an outrageous appreciation.
So how long do you think people have got on it? If they're taking something away today, what's the action? What should people be doing if they're watching this?
I think this is the thing. It's understanding your budget. So of course, if we talk about quickly, the 4 bedrooms I think there's only 4 that face the golf course.
Yeah.
The others are on the back row.
Yeah.
So if you did want the golf course opportunity, you're looking at the 5 and 6 bedrooms. Obviously, we've got a guide price that we can estimate it to be at. That is our information that we judge from the market previously. So if we're expecting it to come anywhere under 2,400 dirhams per square foot, it's an unbelievable investment. Yeah. So if anyone is interested to sort of progress, it's a 250,000 expression of interest that is fully refundable, and on the day of the launch, Liam and I will both be there, and we will obviously either have you there with us or have you on the phone, and we can offer you what's available, and if it doesn't come in at that price, it's fully refundable.
So the action is to give us to do what? Get your EI in?
Yeah, I mean, obviously if you are interested, drop both Liam and I a message. We'll put our details on the screen now. Liam or I a message. We'll put our details on the screen now. And what we will do, of course, is everything we've talked about today, we can put in to Word format for you. So you've got the data. We actually have an investor pack that we can send you.
Yeah, it's good actually.
Amazing.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Josh.
Thank you. Cheers, Liam. See you next time.